Wait, don't start your bikes. The shout was so small, yet powerful enough to slice through the thunderous growl of dozens of chrome-black engines waiting to roar awake. The men, heavy leather jackets, tattooed arms, steel boots, turned toward the trembling voice. A little boy, no older than 7, stood at the edge of the dusty parking lot, clutching something tight to his chest. His breath came fast, his eyes wide, his shoelace untied and dragging through the sand. For a moment, even the wind seemed to stop moving. The leader of the Hell's Angels that afternoon, a broad-shouldered man known only as Bear, tilted his head. His beard swayed in the warm breeze as he studied the child's fearful expression. "Kid," Bear growled, "you don't run into a pack of motorcycles unless you got a death wish. What's going on?" The boy shook his head violently. Please don't start them. Not yet. You can't." His voice cracked at the end. Everyone heard it. Bear raised a hand. The men cut their engines. The air went still again. And then Bear saw the boy's fingers trembling around a crumpled, dirt-stained notebook. "What's in your hand, buddy?" Bear asked, softer this time. The boy pressed the notebook against his chest like a shield. "My mom, she's still inside." He pointed toward an abandoned warehouse behind the bikers' lineup. "If you start your bikes, she won't hear me calling." A ripple of confusion swept through the group. They exchanged looks but stayed silent. Bear stepped off his bike and slowly approached. "Inside? Why?" The boy swallowed hard. His tiny shoulders shook. "She's sick, and she was trying to find something to sell. We needed food." He lifted the notebook slightly. "This belonged to my dad. He died last year. She wanted to sell it." His voice faltered, and she didn't come back out. Bear's jaw clenched. A flash of something, pain, maybe, flickered in the man's eyes. Moments like these separate noise from heart. And if you believe every act of courage deserves to be remembered, take a second to like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Stories like these live because people like you keep compassion alive. Bear knelt, lowering himself to the child's eye level. "What's your name, son?" "Eli." "All right, Eli. Tell me something." Bear pointed to the notebook. "Why is that so important?" Eli opened the cover slowly. Pages fluttered, filled with sketches of engines, gears, metal frames, beautiful designs drawn by a careful, practiced hand. "My dad was a mechanic," Eli whispered. "He always wanted to build the safest bike in the world. One that never breaks down. One that saves people." He touched a sketch with reverence. He called it the Guardian. Bear stared at the drawings longer than expected, almost frozen. Something in those pages tugged at his memories. His father, long gone, teaching him how engine parts fit like bones inside a steel body. A flashback washed over him. The smell of gasoline, the warm glow of a garage light, his father's voice saying, "A real bike protects its rider. It never betrays them." Bear blinked hard and stood. "All right, boys," he rumbled, "we're going in." The Hell's Angels weren't saints, but loyalty was their code. And right now, a child needed them. They moved toward the warehouse, boots crunching gravel, chains clinking. Eli followed close behind, his breath unsteady. Inside, light filtered through broken windows and dusty beams. The air was thick and stale. Debris covered the floor, old crates, rusted metal, shards of forgotten machinery. "Mom," Eli called softly. "Mom, please answer." A faint groan echoed from deeper inside. Eli bolted forward. Bear and 2 others hurried after him, weaving through the clutter. They found her collapsed behind a stack of crates, one hand pressed against her chest, breathing shallow and weak. "Mom!" Eli dropped to his knees, tears spilling instantly. I told them not to start their bikes, so you could hear me." Her eyes fluttered open. "Eli, you shouldn't have come." Bear crouched beside her and gently checked her pulse. Her skin was hot, feverish. Her clothes were torn from brushing against sharp metal edges. She had collapsed trying to lift a heavy crate where she hoped to find old copper wiring to sell. "We need to get her out," Bear said firmly. "Now." 2 bikers lifted her carefully, while Eli clung to her hand like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. Outside, the sun burned low, painting everything gold. The other bikers scrambled to pull out blankets, water bottles, anything useful. One man fetched his first aid kit. Another grabbed the cooler from his saddlebag. Bear wrapped his jacket, his heavy, patched leather, around her shoulders. She blinked in confusion. Why? Why are you helping us? Bear nodded toward Eli. Because your boy's got more courage than half the men I've met. Eli looked up, his voice barely a whisper. Will she be okay? Bear knelt again. We're taking her to a clinic. One of our guys used to be an EMT. She's in good hands. As they loaded her carefully into the sidecar of a custom bike, Eli tugged on Bear's vest. Sir, can you hold this for me? He handed over the notebook. I don't want to lose it. Bear studied the worn cover again. Your dad, he designed all this? Eli nodded. You ever think about finishing one someday? Maybe even build the Guardian? Eli shrugged his shoulders. I don't know how. Bear smiled, an expression rare enough that his men stared. But I do. Eli blinked. You teach me? Bear placed a massive hand on the boy's shoulder. Kid, your dad had a gift. And gifts like that, they're not meant to die. They rode slowly toward town, engines rumbling softly. No roar, no thunder. Just steady, protective sound like a promise. Along the way, Bear kept glancing back at Eli, who held his mother's hand tightly. Hope shimmered in the boy's eyes for the first time that day. Sometimes strangers become guardians. Sometimes the toughest men carry the softest stories. If this moment touches your heart, share it forward, and subscribe to Kindness Valley so more people can feel the power of second chances. Later that evening, after doctors assured Eli his mother would recover, Bear returned the notebook. But he'd added something, a new sketch, a completed design of the Guardian, based on Eli's father's drawings, strengthened with Bear's years of mechanical wisdom. Eli traced the lines with his fingers, tears forming again. You finished it. Bear shook his head. No, Keith, we will finish it. Together. And then Bear said something no one expected. You and your mom, you got a place with us until you get back on your feet. No charge. No that's. Just family. Eli's mother, weak but awake, whispered, Why would you do all this? Bear looked at the boy standing beside her. The boy who'd run toward danger to save the only family he had left. Because, Bear said softly, sometimes the smallest voice saves the loudest hearts. What would you have done if you saw a child run toward danger just to protect the person they love? And what does courage mean to you? Tell us below. Your stories inspire more kindness than you know. If you believe compassion can change even the roughest souls, like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Your support keeps these stories alive. And somewhere in that little town, in a garage lit by warm evening light, a boy and a biker began building the Guardian, a machine born from love, courage, and second chances.